Okay, let's get one thing straight. Women didn't enter the world of wines, spirits, and beers. We built it. But then, surprise, men came along, slapped their names on some beers, wine bottles, and barrels, and suddenly we're just finding ourselves responsible for the cute charcuterie boards. Let's rewind. Thousands of years ago, when wine was sacred, I mean literal goddess level sacred, women were the ones fermenting, blessing, and pouring. From ancient Mesopotamia to Egypt, women were high priestesses of the spirits, high status, ritualistic, not just using wines, beers, and spirits as a recreation to get drunk and flirty. Then came the patriarchy. Suddenly, as religions shifted and societies got all rigid and power hungry, women were pushed out. Winemakers became men. More men making wine, running vineyards than women. Men owning breweries, men running the breweries, men being the distillers. But in the background, we kept going. Medieval nuns were running wineries, widows were managing entire vineyards during wars when the men were away. And behind almost every famous spirits, wine, or beer family, you will see a woman in the background. Take the story of the widow Clicquot, who was left with a champagne house and a baby at 27. She could have folded and turned her winery over to a man, but instead she revolutionized champagne. That's a video in itself when I can get into her story. Even today, women make up the backbone of the industry, from grape growers to master sommeliers, but they're still under-recognized, underpaid, and underestimated. And we're still over here being told to order whatever wine is the sweetest. In Egypt, women were linked to Hathor, goddess of joy, love, and intoxication, but you had to be a priestess to serve at wine ceremonies. It wasn't just for drinking, it was for sacred purposes. Women poured the libations, oversaw the harvest, and presided over some of the earliest forms of hospitality and ritual drinking. We weren't bartenders, we were spiritual sommeliers. But shocker, organized religion and empire building didn't love the idea of women holding spiritual or economic power. So the patriarchy took over and our roles were erased. Wine became a man's game. Women went from guardians of divine fermentation to the wives who sat at the table while their husband tasted the Cabernet for them. Let's talk about brewing. Before wine was mass produced, women were the primary brewers of all fermented drinks, beer, mead, and ale. It was seen as an extension of the hearth and the home. We made the vessels, gathered the ingredients, tended the fermentation. It was a domestic art, a ritual, a livelihood. Which is funny because now that alcohol is profitable in this stage of capitalism, men have called the dibs. Breweries and wineries have become male-owned businesses, and women were pushed out to relegated or service-type roles. All that sacred, life-giving craft, it's been rebranded into a boys' club. Even today, only 14% of California wineries are owned by women. I mean, look at the names that we see on the wine bottles that are in most grocery stores today. Joel Gott, Josh, Robert Mondavi. Female winemakers are constantly underestimated, unless they're pouring rosé and smiling pretty for Instagram pictures. Meanwhile, the men are the visionaries for fermenting Pinot in their garage. So let's be clear, women didn't join the wine world. We built it, we ritualized it, we perfected it, and then we got pushed out. But we're back. And we're not just here to ask for a seat at the tasting table anymore. We're here to run the whole damn thing. Like and follow for more.